Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another amazing episode of Making College Come True radio show brought to you by Tucson International Academy. I am Pastor John McClain here with crickets here by myself because Dr. Jennifer Herrera, who is the superintendent of this amazing Tucson International Academy, is busy doing a lot of amazing things. I know last week she was in LA with her daughter auditioning for certain parts, and I think this week they have a seminar going on out of town. But God bless Dr. J for all the amazing work she does, keeping these fine men that I have in studio employed. So you will just get me today. You will not get the Dr. J or Brian Beebe, who also joins us sometimes. But I will do my best to still make sure we have a fantastic show because we have some fantastic guests today. We have Mr. Larry Spada. He is the brand newest principal of the TIA, Tucson International Academy East Campus. And then we have Mr. Luis Machado. Did I say that right?
Luis.
Yeah. Mr. Luis Machado. And he's a teacher with the West Coast campus. So hopefully we don't have a West Coast, East Coast beef in here, but it's been known to happen before. So the question is, which one of you is Tupac?
West Coast.
So anyway, here, this is the Making College Come True radio show, and we're excited for today. Thank you guys, by the way, for being here with me and filling in for the Dr. J in a way.
Oh, thank
you. Pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess this is the Making College Come True radio show, so a big thing that we definitely like to talk about, and not only to kind of like to stick to the point of what the show is, but I got my 14-year-old son in studio in here. I know we have a lot of kids that listen to the show. I always like to kind of put into perspective this going to college thing. I mean, I think you got to kind of have two schools of thought. You have the people that either take I'm going to go to college or college for granted, or you have the people that would never guess in a million years that they would go to college because nobody in their family ever go to college. So I'll open it up to you, Ms. Machado. First, on this theory, what was it like for you initially going to college? And, was it which school were you in when that time came?
Okay, well, for me, it was, I was literally the first generation going to college. My parents here in the United States didn't go to college. When we came to the United States, all they did is just work. Mm-hmm. The only time that I saw them actually going to school was just to learn the language of English language, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of hard. If it wasn't for one of my cousins, we're the same age. We ended up going to college together. We helped each other out. So it was a little difficult. We didn't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. And of course, young kids go to college. You're like, all right, get to go party. Mm-hmm. And we thought about all that instead of actually going to school. But, it's a learning curve. It was a hard one, but we managed to do it. It was, like I said, it was kind of hard for us, being that we were the first generation college students here in Tucson. Of course, everybody in Mexico, everybody went to college one way or the other. They all became lawyers or whatever the case may be. But for us coming into a new country, it was kind of difficult. But we managed through it. So it was just a big learning curve.
Yeah, big thing I was wondering. So when that time came and you're like, okay, mom, dad, and aunt, uncle, I want to go to college. How did they react?
Pretty much like everything. It's like, okay, well, do we have the money for it? Mm-hmm. That was always our thing, unfortunately, back when I was a younger kid, is we were not on a budget, but we weren't too big in spending on a lot of things. We were always humble. We were always, we didn't need it. We didn't buy it. Mm-hmm. But I think at that point, my parents did kind of look at me and was like, okay, well, if you're serious about it, make sure that you do it and you complete it. If you commit to it, make sure you commit to it. Mm-hmm. Lucky for me, we did get help. I got a couple of scholarships to go to Pima. That's where I began. So that helped us out. And then, of course, there's always that worry, how am I going to pay them back? Mm-hmm. And it was just one of those things also is, as a young kid, knowing that your parents did a lot for you and they're making an extra sacrifice for you, you kind of, at some points, you really doubt going to college because you're like, now I got to help my parents because they're letting me do this. Mm-hmm. But yes, that was one of the things is that, they reacted to me at that point was surprising because like everything, hey, I need money for this. Well, we got to wait a little bit longer for this. For sports, when I used to be in high school, it was one of those things that I had to kind of do weekend jobs in order to go play sports. Mm-hmm. So college was kind of like a nervous thing. And so But no, luckily for us, we made it happen. My dad did help out a lot. I did end up learning how to earn my money. So he's like, you want money? Come work for me. Like, all right, cool. So worked in construction for a while with him while going to school.
Nice.
And that's kind of what made me like, you know what? I think we can do this just to get everybody out of construction. So luckily for us, got that out of construction. Now he's actually taking care of kids with my mom. So it's pretty cool. It is that struggle at the beginning, but then little by little, everybody working together, it works out really good.
Yeah. So it started off as like kind of like, apprehension, like you're the first generation, I don't even know what to do. And two, the good news is, okay, getting through it, you're actually not only able to lift yourself up, but lift up those around you through it.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And then I guess, maybe a different type of story. Mr. Spada, what was your experience when you were considering to go to college or that whole thing? How did that play out?
Well, when I started, when I joined the Marine Corps, my first 2 years was nothing but school. And I didn't realize how well trained I was until I started thinking I was going to get out. And I had some really good job offers, Lockheed Martin. I can go on. I mean, some really good job offers. And then something happened where I decided I wanted to be a teacher. And I took the test, the placement test, and I felt good because I started right at the 101 level for both math and English, a little bit higher for the math, actually. And I didn't have to worry about the finances because the Marine Corps was paying for it. I had to worry about the time because I was still an active duty Marine and I wanted to have my college degree and my teacher certification done by my retirement date.
Well, what about, I guess kind of this gives us an opportunity to think about kind of outside the box on here. What made you think to join the Marines?
What's that?
What made you think to join the Marines?
I actually joined it on a dare. I've had a brother. I've had, my family. Basically, I'm like the fifth generation here. My son's a sixth. But I was not intending to join the Marine Corps. But what happened is I went down with a bunch of my friends, about 5 of us, and we went down to the recruiting station, which was like in a mall at the end of by a bowling alley. And we saw the Air Force recruiter, the Navy recruiter, and the Army recruiter, and none of that really hit us. So we're walking by, and we didn't even see the Marine recruiter, so we're just like walking out, and this small guy comes out and says, "Hey, you," down the hallway, and all 5 of us turned around. And we're going like, "Who are you talking to?" And he said, "You, come here." And we went down there, and he basically talked to him, and it ended up being, I went home and talked to my brother. My brother said, "You never make boot camp." That was it. That was done. I was operationally defined at the time. That was done.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
That's all it took. Yeah.
That's all it took. Tell me I can't do this. And if he had told me you could do it, I probably would never have joined.
Interesting.
I was operationally defined at the time.
Nice. Well, we could look back and thank him now.
As I
Thank you for your brother's service. Absolutely. Well, cool. Well, we'll talk about a lot of that and more. Maybe even I'll tell my story of why I joined the military when we get back with the Making College Come True radio show, brought to you by Tucson International Academy. I'm Pastor John McClain here, flying solo, but I think I'm doing an all right job. What do you say, Tristan? You think I'm doing an all right job? Yeah, he thinks I'm doing a great job. Yeah, we'll be right back after this break.
Return to the Making College Come True radio show, brought to you by Tucson International Academy.
Or they would have joined the Air Force. Welcome back to the Making College Come True radio show, brought to you by Tucson International Academy. I'm Pastor John McClain. Here, sans one Dr. Jennifer Herrera, the superintendent of said Tucson International Academy. And as I was telling my good Marine friend here, Mr. Larry Spada, the principal of the TIA East Campus, I always tell people if I was smarter, I would have joined the Air Force, and if I was tougher, I would have joined the Marines. So, but my parents, I'm a 4th generation soldier, and my parents taught me, they were both military intelligence personnel. So they tricked me into thinking that there wasn't anything but the Army. I actually thought the Navy, the Marines, and the Air Force were branches of the Army. Yeah, so they got me.
That is funny.
Yeah, yeah. So we were talking with Mr. Spada and Mr. Machado before the break about, what drew them into college, or Mr. Spada into the military, and what conflicts that were around those. Primarily, Mr. Spada, tell me. So you joined the military, but I know, from my own personal experience, just because we joined the military doesn't mean that we're going to go to college. What was that crossroads? Where was that crux where you said, okay, I did, I take that big leap and I joined the Marines and took my brother's dare to show him he's wrong and I am tough enough. I also want to be smarter. I also want to be educated.
Well, what started for me, and I said this on an earlier show, is where I was stationed at. My daughter was in middle school at the time, my oldest daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just come back from a deployment, and she was struggling in school. So we had a parent-teacher conference, and we had the teachers there, the assistant principal. And I came into the room, and me and my wife, and it was a very good meeting. It started off with, because the math teacher started the meeting, he was spot on, saying, these are the problems I see with my daughter. And he said, she needs to do this, this, and this. And Mr. Spada, by the way, you need to do this. Are you good at math? You need help here. He had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this guy. He had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to the other teachers, and they weren't quite as good, but they kind of had a plan. But then when we got to the science teacher, it was different.
Mm.
And I'm not going to go into the whole conversation, but the fact was I came to the epiphany, like, I had the wrong teacher teaching my child.
Mm.
And the whole time my wife has seen my body language. She's like holding my hand like, don't go drill instructor. I was never a drill instructor, but she doing that tap, like, calm down.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got done with that conversation, I told her that when I retire, I want to be a teacher.
Mm.
And she said, she knows me. She said, yeah, right.
Mm.
She knows what happens when you give me a dare.
Oh, yeah.
But
do you think she did that intentionally?
I think she probably did that intentionally, but at the
interesting.
time it didn't matter because I was just, ever since then, I've always gone to my teachers' kids' conferences since then.
Mm-hmm.
But before, like when I was in the Marine Corps, I was always very busy, and I said, that's the wife's responsibility.
Mm.
It wasn't until that conversation happened that I said, I'm going to be at the rest of these. Because I'd always assumed that there was that level professionalism.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what they say about assume.
Yeah. There's something about you and me. And
yeah, we won't go on the language. We're on the radio.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so I went about the process of getting my college degree. And what I loved about my training in the Marine Corps, because I did a lot of technical training, is when I used my smart transcript, as they call it now, my DD-219, or whatever they call it now, DD-295. I gave it to the college, and the college said, you got 151 college credits. And I said, 120 college credits for a degree. I said, give me my degree.
Mm.
They said, no, you need to take this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
That was the writing, the English, the history, the philosophy. Oh, I had the science maxed. but those core classes, they don't teach you in the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another 41 credits.
Mm.
So basically, by the time I had my first bachelor's, I had like 200 plus credits attached to it, which made me highly qualified to teach 3 different subjects, which was okay with me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to choose, so I started with science. I love science.
Nice. And then, so what, in your experience, and then I'll skip over Mr. Machado and ask him this question following, what was your experience with going to college like?
I was dead tired because I was still doing all my Marine Corps responsibilities. I was on the active duty. I might be able to sneak a course in during lunch, but most of them was nighttime, and the professors I had didn't cut any huss because I was on active duty. You want this, you earn this. And I'd be staying up until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning quite regularly. One time I did like 21 credits full time during the semester while we're getting ready for a gear up, a unit deployment. because once was on the deployment, I wouldn't have any time for college.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make it up before and after, and I had a schedule to keep because remember, I knew I could only stay in the Marine Corps so long, and when I went into college, I was basically about 40 years old.
Mm.
So I had a timeline like I knew I was going to retire. I changed my retirement plan because I was just going to stay working on aircraft in the civilian sector.
Mm-hmm.
It pays well. But so it was a matter of just, that work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I learned a little bit before the Marine Corps, but while I was in the Marine Corps, it was definitely reinforced.
Well, it's kind of definitely inspiring that, you could, like you're mentioning, you could have got some pretty awesome jobs, made a whole bunch of buco money, but it seems
I still
like,
get job offers, and I've not been doing it for almost 20 years now.
And it just seems like you're just called to do something that the heart wants, not something that it's for the pocketbook necessarily.
And that's the one thing I would advise anybody going into college, especially college, is you don't want to look at the degree that's going to pay you money. But in the long run, you want to look at what you're going to be. You want to be comfortable. You want something that you're going to go into, but you want something you can do the rest of your life and do it with. And what I have is like my Bachelor of Science, I was able to apply it so far well in that, I can teach science, and I started at the middle school level. And what I loved about the middle school level, I could teach herb science, I could do biology, I could touch on physics, I could do all that.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That's awesome. Well, we have probably about a minute. I asked you the same question, Mr. Machado. What was your experience with college like?
Oh, wow. I think it was one of the best ones I had, honestly. Whether it was good or whether it was bad. So it was something good because that's where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, when we were kids going to school, I did pretty much everything because of my parents, the language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
But in college, that's where I became responsible. That's where I pretty much accepted the fact that there's certain things that I need help with. And that's something once I learned that, I think that was what made my college days a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
They made it funner for me, a lot more fun. It was one of those things that I felt more comfortable, more confident. So that's what I liked about college.
Yeah, and I know you said you started off, you thought the college was going to be a big party, and that took kind of like some growing pains. What was that?
Oh, yeah, that was a lot of growing pains because when you least expect it, you're like, I'm behind 2 semesters.
Mm-hmm.
I got an F again. It's like, oh my God, that's when you start really waking up and you learn from all the mistakes. Well, at least that's what we hope that all our kids do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned the hard way, but we ended up learning, which is a good thing.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we will be back right after this break. Once again, this is the Making College Come True radio show brought to you by Tucson International Academy. I'm Pastor John McClain here, -1 Dr. Jennifer Herrera, but she'll be back next show. You guys sit right there. Maybe go grab yourself a little snack. We got another 30 minutes of goodness for you. We'll be right back.
We now return to the Making College Come True radio show, brought to you by Tucson International Academy.
And welcome back to the Making College Come True radio show, brought to you by Tucson International Academy. I'm here with, I'd say 2 pretty cool guys. I'd say 3 pretty cool guys because I have my son Tristan here in studio with me as well. But we have Principal Larry Spada with the East Tucson International Campus, and then we have Mr. Machado, a teacher with the West Campus. And so far, we haven't had any fights break out with the East and West, so that's good. But you were telling a story. I want to hear the end of that story.
What part of the end of the story? For college, you mean?
No, you're telling a story right now.
Oh,
or is it we're coming out of the break?
When I was in the Marine Corps, I had a friend of mine. His name was Gordy, and he got out of the Marine Corps after my first tour, and I stayed in, but I knew him. His big thing was he started a security outfit, in that they would do like security for concerts and stuff like that. So anytime I went home, he would always ask, "Hey, you want to make some money?" Yeah, I always want to make some money. I really want to just go to the concerts.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
But I was able to meet like the Grateful Dead.
Huh.
I can go on ZZ Top. I mean, some really big bands at that time.
Nice.
And I go home on leave, and you know, it's like I got to ride in the limo with Jerry Garcia. You know.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I have a similar, not nearly as cool, but pretty cool. When I was in Iraq, surprisingly enough, it was during one of those little blocks that I had some free time. I don't know how, so I put together a talent show on our base, and it was and we had the engineering crew build a big stage and everything at the stadium. And Arnold Schwarzenegger happened to be there at the same time we were doing the talent show. And he introduced me and the other guy that were hosting it onto the stage. So I got to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger when I was out there in Iraq. So
he is an awesome guy.
Yeah, he was an awesome guy. And that's my claim to fame for the military. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But it's cool, like the type of experiences you have with the military, the good and the bad. And like you're saying, how many times were you deployed?
Numerous,
yeah, and I guess all over the
I've
place.
I've been in 2 wars and 3 peacekeeping actions.
Man, it's wild. Yeah, I did one 18-month tour, and then luckily I didn't get sent out again. I did my 8 years, and that was it. But yeah, thank God we made it back alive, man.
Yep.
Here we are in one piece to talk about Tucson International Academy. Yeah. So, a question I love asking, the dozen or so people that I've been able to ask this question over the years is, what is Tucson International Academy? And I'll open that up to Mr. Machado first, and then I'll ask you. Definitely, I know Mr. Spada is new to the Tucson International family, but if I like to act as if I never heard of Tucson International Academy before, and if I was that person, explain it to me. So I'll get that from both of you.
I think the best and the easiest way to explain it is like if one door closes, another one opens. We do give the opportunity for the kids to go to college. That's our focal point. Ever since they're kinder, we start talking to them. We start saying, "Hey, when you make it to college, not if you make it to college, but it's it's true. Most of our lives, one door closes, and we wait for the other one to open. Here at Tucson International Academy, we look for the other door. We make them look for it. We make them work hard. We make them understand it's not going to be easy, and which is true. And a lot of kids do think that it is going to be easy. And I think the quicker they understand that, it's a lot easier. And that's something that we like to do. We like to also throw in personal experience here, just to kind of let them know we're not all that much different. At one point we are going to struggle, but guess what? It doesn't matter how many times you fall, it's how many times you actually get up. So I think that would be kind of like the overall umbrella of TIA. Keep on getting up. Don't ever give up. It's a school that's going to help you out if you listen to us or just pay attention once in a while. I think you'll get something good out of it.
Yeah, another thing, and I think you could probably answer to this, that I hear a lot from TIA staff is TIA's, whether it's each individual campus or the collective campuses, it's like a big family.
Correct. It's really weird because when I first began working at West, it was nervous, your first teacher there, and then lucky for me, I got the 7th and 8th grade teacher. So the grades, and it was just crazy. But the way that they embrace me is like they make you feel welcome. It's not, oh, good luck, if you need anything, whatever. No, they come up to you and say, hey, if you need anything, we're here. Or they start showing you. Yes, our principals are always busy. Mr. Spada will let you know that. But as a teamwork, it's like a family. They will help you out. We have a couple of new teachers already, and we're already telling them, hey, we can help you out with this. We don't leave our doors closed, and that's one of the things I think that makes us really strong is that from the get-go. We're open-minded. We're telling them we can help you, and it's perfect.
And you're saying your child actually attended Tucson International Academy,
yes,
right?
He did. Yes.
And what was that experience like?
For him, it was great. So my son actually benefited from charter schools just because of the smaller size. With the learning disability, it helps out a lot. We were struggling after 8th grade. We were struggling looking for a high school. I happened to run into our Broadway campus on Broadway and Highland, and met Mr. Montemayor at the time, the principal back then, and just right off the bat, Ms. Rosa, which is our administrative at Midville now, she made us feel welcome. And then every person that works there, they know your student. They know your kid. They know what they do right, what they do wrong. They know when they're wrong. They know when you're right. So just having that atmosphere really, it helped out my son a lot. So I used to help him with the sports. So it was all by a miracle, actually, because it was like, oh, let's go try this. Let's see what happens. And they helped him out a lot, and that was one of the things. That's how we ran into TIA.
Awesome, it's amazing. And Mr. Spada, like I've never heard of TIA before, and I bump into you. Have a student. What is Tucson International Academy from your perspective?
From my perspective, Tucson International Academy is just what the name implies, because not only is it a college focus or college prep school, but I'll give you an example. Every student at Tucson International Academy from kindergarten to 12th grade will get classes in both Spanish and Chinese, Mandarin Chinese. If you can speak English, Mandarin Chinese, and Spanish, you can talk to 80% of the world. Okay? And the focus is that culture, and you can check out the website because they have a lot of activities that celebrate, the world culture, not just, not just one part. And I think that is it, because nowadays we kind of get focused on one thing or another, and we don't open the view, our personal view, a lot. I mean, I grew up in New York, and I have cousins in the Bronx who have never left the Bronx, because that's all they think there is, because that is their worldview.
Yeah.
And I think today you can go and ask an average college student or high school student, where's Azerbaijan? And most of them can't find that on the map.
Yeah. And we'll be back with that and more after this break. This is Making College Come True Radio Show, brought to you by Tucson International Academy. We have some great guests. You guys hang in right there. We'll be right back.
Turn to the Making College Come True Radio Show, brought to you by Tucson International Academy.
Hello and welcome back to the Making College Come True Radio Show, brought to you by Tucson International Academy, the school that makes college come true for your K-12 student. If you want to make college come true for your student, go to TucsonInternationalAcademy.org today to find out how you can get your student involved. There are 4 different campuses all over the city of Tucson, so there really isn't anything stopping you except for going on the website and picking up the phone and giving them a call. And to speak to how amazing this school is, we have Mr. Machado here with the TIA West Campus, and then we have the principal, the newest kind of the shining star of the East Campus, Mr. Larry Spada, the principal of the East Campus. And they've been here telling us kind of their experience of, one, getting into college themselves, what made them choose education, Mr. Spada, what made him choose to become a principal. And then, we've been touching on Tucson International Academy. And during the break, Mr. Machado was telling me about the sports program out of Tucson International Academy. So that's kind of new to me, because I didn't even realize you guys participate in that type of thing. So please tell me more.
Yeah, so at the beginning, we used to do campus versus campus, just to kind of give the kids that little competitiveness in them with flag football, basketball, volleyball. And little by little, we began actually growing into a charter league. So there's a charter league here in Tucson, made up for charter schools. We pretty much compete all year round, where we begin with flag football, volleyball, basketball at the YMCA, and then this year, one of the newest sports is soccer.
Nice.
And then I believe that we're trying to get softball, but no other school has a softball team. So we're working on that. And it's just to get the kids involved. One of the differences that kids always are asking us, do you have any sports? That's one of the first questions. And we do now. We are happy to say, yes, we do. We compete in a charter league. We compete for a trophy like every school does. And it's just bragging rights over other schools, your rivals and all that. So it's perfect. It's been working out really well. This year, I got upgraded to the athletic director. So it's going to be something fun that we're going to be doing. And it's one of the things that we want to teach the kids, is to be committed, to be, it's a discipline that we provide for the kids. And all of us are coaches. We all played a sport when we were young. So we're just trying to bring that into the kids so they can see it's just more about school as well. And then it actually kind of works where we teach the kids that if you really want to play, well, grades are important for this. So, same thing with other schools. Same thing with college. How many college student scholarships have you heard ineligible for grades, whatever the case may be? So we're trying to make it mimic in a way so that kids can understand that grades are always going to be part of your sports. And so with the discipline, it's one of the things you see the change in the kid. If they're quiet, they're timid, they come out more confident about themselves, and that's pretty much what we try to teach. More than the competitiveness, also to have fun. Make them understand it's also to have fun. It's going to be a great year, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I know definitely from my experience, I think you talked about it, I think on the other show, just your experience with school sports was a big part of it. It's I know for me, I may have never passed high school if sports wasn't involved because, I didn't want to miss a track meet or miss a game because I didn't have my grades up. So I made sure I kept my grades up to do that. So that's awesome to hear. Tucson International Academy has implemented that, and who knows, maybe you'll have the next U of A basketball player. You'll have the next Suns player that once played for Tucson International Academy. So yeah, it's awesome to hear. So I guess Mr. Spada, maybe tell us about some of the other kind of programs coming out of Tucson International Academy that I wouldn't say are unique to other schools, but maybe are like other schools.
Well, one thing we're looking at now is we're looking at like the science program for all the campuses, because science should be a hands-on activity thing. In fact, we'll be setting up a star night sometime in the spring, and we're going to talk to the U of A because they got the Skyland program with Mount Lemmon, and just to make sure that students are involved, with those kind of activities, whether it's not just from a book, but they're actually going out, seeing stuff, collecting stuff, doing that whole scientific process of exploration. Because that's something I think with the emphasis on test scores, a lot of schools have kind of drifted away from. I mean, when I've worked with students, first time they see something in the microscope, the light bulbs that go off, or just the excitement. It's rather unique. It's like when my first time I was teaching in Tucson, and it rained. I'm from the East Coast, New York. Rains every day. Yeah, every other day. I had to stop my class and let the kids go out and play a little bit in the rain because it was like. And then when it snowed that year, because it was that year it snowed a little bit, it's like, oh no, I'm not going to give them back, so let's not fight this. Yeah. But the thing is, they went out there, they learned, they explored, and they didn't even realize they were doing it. I think another thing I like about Tucson International Academy, because I've been able to talk to the teachers, is they realize that playing is part of learning, and they have a lot of small group activities where the children can kind of like interact socially, but it's still that process of learning.
Nice. It's beautiful. And I know I've heard a lot about these kind of like these world famous field trips you guys go on. Like I know when I was in school, I think where did we go? We didn't go anywhere fun, but we didn't go anywhere great. But I hear you guys go to you guys go all around the world. So tell me about some of the trips you've been able to be part of, or some of the stuff that you've seen since you've worked for TIA.
I haven't been part of it, but my son actually did. He actually went to Catalina Island when and it was, so we alternate science with biology and life sciences every other year, with their science and physical science. The year that they do biology is actually the year that they end up going to Catalina Islands to actually a biology center where they get to look at all the animals. My son came back with this face like, oh my God, I saw a stingray. Me growing up in Mexico at the beach, you're like, oh, we know what it is, but you don't realize that your kids don't have that experience. So he's all like, yeah, and then we touched them, and of course, unfortunately, the crocodile hunter comes out, and I forgot his name. They got actually. I forgot his name. He's all like, yeah, the stingray did this, and the reason why this. He starts explaining these things with that excitement. You're like, oh my God. You're like, cool. But some other trips that we normally do are yearly trips. It's around the world. Most of the teachers have been to Australia. They've been to China. They went to the Great Wall of China. How many people can you say, I've been to the Great Wall of China? They've been to Italy and Greece. They've been to Spain, Matadores, the bullfighting, the soccer games. So they make this available for the students so they can see there's something outside of it. There's something else besides Tucson. 90%, I would say, of the kids here in Tucson, they really haven't left Tucson.
Yeah.
So we try to give that opportunity for the students so they can see there's something out there. Maybe, who knows, they'll probably fall in love with something else that they like over there and kind of use that as a motivation to keep on going, trying to do what they like. So, yes, I mean, trips, world trips, Catalina Islands, college trips. College trip is the best thing. You know, they get to tie all what we're trying to tell them how to, we're trying to teach them. It all ties into one thing. This is your college life. Do it. So it's always fun.
Yeah, so talk more about the college trips. Now, I know it seems like, at least from what I've heard, it seems like pretty much like every year you have scheduled like a GCU trip. Correct. And like an NAU trip, U of A trip. Like definitely get you knock down all the Arizona colleges every single year. What does all that entail?
Oh, so basically what we do is, the first thing that we do is we go all the way to the Grand Canyon first. We give the kids the opportunity to see the Grand Canyon.
Yeah,
of our kids haven't been
I've still never seen it. Yeah, exactly. I've lived here for 20 years in Tucson.
I just went to the Grand Canyon like about 6 years ago, so it's like I understand. Yeah. But we do that first. We go to NAU, spend a day. They'll take them into the gym so they can see how the facilities are, the student union. They will sit in a conference room, explain what college is about, the finances and all that. All the possibilities that they have while they're in college. You can work as a student, kind of pay your college off and get a discount and all that. And then, so we spend a day, we have also alumni that go to Flagstaff. And we get a hold of them, kind of just say, okay, well, what do you guys do? And they kind of help us out with the students and say, yeah, this is what we do. We have alumni at ASU, U of A, GCU, and every single stop, it's different. Every college is different, so they get to see the differences between colleges. And then having an alumni from TIA, that kind of motivates them as well. You're like, oh, well, they can do it. I can do it also. So that's all it is just kind of give them that little confidence that they're able to do things. So, and it works out really good. So
yeah, absolutely. And then I guess I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Spada. I guess for those that are listening, is there something that kind of they should know about Tucson International Academy that kind of doesn't stick out, that it isn't just the making college come true? Like, what is it?
Well, I think for me, because I'm the new guy on the block, and the big thing for me is just that feeling you get from a smaller school that is more focused on the student rather than a long process. And like with the average class size of maybe 20 kids in a classroom, it's hard to lose somebody. And that's just it. It's that emphasis, again, like we're talking about, on the student and the teacher, because education is a people business. It's a relationship business. And what has impressed me this week with Tucson International Academy is like our teacher training today with the new teachers. It's just been nothing but warm-ups and team exercises and so on. So that once we do get going, you already have some of those personal relationships together to work as a team.
And what excites you? We got about 20 seconds. We have to cut out of here. What excites you in the future with your time with TIA?
Well, I am looking forward to, honestly, like I've already talked to some of the science teachers and some of the things that they've done and some of the things we're looking forward to. Like I said, I started as a science teacher before I became a principal. But the thing is, I like that there is some project-based learning. In other words, it goes back to that hands-on learning, which is something I think a lot of places, well, I can't say a lot, but some tend to get away from because they focus on other things.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. This is the Making College Come True radio show, brought to you by Tucson International Academy. I'm Pastor John McClain. We'll see you next week. God bless.